Every animal alive is afraid of fire. It is the oldest instinct there is: see the flame and run. Every animal except one. Somewhere back in the dark, one of us stopped running, reached in, and carried a piece of it home. That piece of fire is the whole story of us. Cooked food, warm nights, bronze cities, every lamp against every night that ever came. It all began the moment one frightened animal refused to be afraid of the flame. And almost every people who ever lived kept a memory of that moment. But listen closely, because they do not agree on one dark little question. Not how we got the fire, whether we were allowed to, whether it was handed to us, or whether we stole it. And what each of them decided will tell you what they thought we are. Start where the West starts, with a thief. His name is Prometheus, and he loves us, which on Olympus is the problem, because the king of the gods, Zeus, does not. Zeus looks at these clever, shivering creatures in the dark and decides they are better off in the dark, better off not knowing. So he hides it from us, and Prometheus steals it back. He hides a single ember in the hollow of a fennel stalk, smuggles it down past the gates of heaven, and puts fire into human hands. Picture that the first flame we ever owned was contraband, carried to us by a god going against the express command of the king of the gods. And Zeus is furious, not sad, not proud, furious the way you are furious at a theft. He chains Prometheus to a mountain and sends an eagle to tear out his liver every day forever. And for us, for the humans who took the stolen gift, he makes Pandora and the jar of every sorrow in the world and opens it over our heads. Sit with what that story is telling you. To the Greeks, the thing that made us human, fire, and everything fire means, craft, knowledge, progress, was taken against the will of heaven. Our whole civilization is built on stolen goods, and some part of us has been waiting to be punished for it ever since. Hold onto that feeling. It goes deeper into us than Greece. It is the same shape as a garden and a forbidden fruit and a god who says, "Do not eat, do not know." The West's oldest story about waking up, about seeing what we were never meant to see, is a story about a crime. Now sail out across the widest ocean on Earth to the islands of Polynesia, and the fire gets a wink in its eye. Here the hero is Maui, half trickster, half troublemaker, and one night, on a dare to himself, he sneaks through the villages and puts out every single fire. Then, innocent as anything, he goes looking for more. He goes down to the underworld, to his ancestress Mahuika, an old goddess who is fire, who keeps the flames as the burning nails of her own fingers. And Maui asks sweetly for a light. She gives him a fingernail. He walks around the corner and quietly drowns it in a stream and comes back, all wide eyes, asking for another. And another. Fingernail by fingernail, he tricks the old woman out of her entire body of fire, until she realizes, and she is done. She throws her very last flame at him in a rage, and the whole world catches. Maui flees as a hawk above a burning ocean. The goddess's fire chases him across the sky, and only the rain saves him. But the last sparks, she hides them, deep in the wood of certain trees, which is why, to this day, you can rub two sticks together and coax out fire. Notice the difference already. No jealous king, no punishment. To Polynesia, we didn't steal fire from a hostile heaven, we charmed it out of a grandmother and got our fingers burnt learning how. It isn't a crime. It is a clever, dangerous joke, and the trees are still keeping the punchline. Two cultures, two ways to take fire, by theft, by trick. You start to think the pattern is set. That fire always has to be taken, that somebody clever has to outwit somebody powerful to get it. And then you cross to the forests of the Cherokee, and there is no thief in the story at all. There isn't even a hero. There's a meeting. In the beginning, the story says, the world was cold and dark, and the only fire on earth was a flame the thunders had set in a hollow sycamore on an island, far out in the water, close enough to see, too far to reach. So the animals hold a council, not to steal the fire, to fetch it together for everyone. And one by one they try, and one by one they fail, and the failures are written on their bodies to this day. The raven flies out and is scorched black. The little screech owl looks down into the fire, and the smoke rings its eyes forever. The great snakes are burnt from white to black, until the very last one steps forward, the one nobody counted on. The tiny water spider. She spins a little bowl of thread and fastens it on her back, walks out across the top of the water, sets one single coal inside it, and carries the fire home to everyone. Feel how far we have traveled from Prometheus on his rock. Here fire is not stolen from an enemy. It is carried home by the humblest creature in the world, for the whole community, and the only ones marked by it are the volunteers who tried. No crime, no punishment, just the smallest of us doing the bravest thing so that everyone could be warm. But there is a cost to fire that none of these has named yet, and to find it, go to the high valley of the Aztecs and a ruined city called Teotihuacan, the place where the gods were made. The story goes that the world was finished but dark, no sun, no light, no fire in the sky. And the gods gather around a great bonfire in the blackness and understand what it will cost to light the world. One of them has to jump in. One of them has to burn and become the sun. The proud, rich, beautiful god steps up first, and 4 times he runs at the flames, and 4 times his nerve fails, and he stops at the edge. And then the other one goes. Nanahuitzin, the small god, the poor one, the one covered in sores that everyone overlooked. He does not run. He does not hesitate. He closes his eyes and throws himself into the fire and burns and rises into the sky as the sun. And here fire is not stolen, and it is not tricked. It is paid for. The light we live by is the body of a god who loved the world enough to burn for it, and the Aztecs would tell you, a debt like that is never finished being repaid. 2 mirror images, an ocean apart. To Greece, a god is chained and tortured because we have fire. To the Aztecs, a god throws himself into the fire so that we can. One heaven punishes the gift. The other one is the gift. And then there is the oldest answer of all, sung in the Rig Veda 3,000 years ago, and it quietly undoes the whole question. Because in India, nobody steals fire, nobody tricks it loose, and no one has to die for it. Fire simply arrives. Because fire here is a god. His name is Agni, and he is not a thing the gods own and we take. He is a person who comes to live with us in the hearth at the center of the home, on the altar at the center of the world. And he has a job. When you make an offering into the flames, it is Agni who carries it upward. Agni is the mouth of the gods, the one messenger who stands in both worlds at once, the doorway between earth and heaven that you can light with your own 2 hands. So think about what that means. To India, fire was never contraband and never a theft. It is a guest who agreed to stay, a god who chose to sit down at the center of every human home and be fed so that he could carry our words up to the others. We did not take the fire from the gods. One of the gods came down and became the warmth in the middle of the family. There is no crime here to punish. There is only a visitor and a debt of hospitality kept alight. So look at what we are holding. The same fire, the same miracle, the day the frightened animal kept the flame, and 5 completely different verdicts on what it meant. To Greece, fire was stolen, and heaven has been angry ever since. To Polynesia, it was tricked out of a grandmother, and the joke is still hidden in the trees. To the Cherokee, it was carried home by the smallest of us for everyone, and cost only the courage of those who tried. To the Aztecs, it was paid for, bought with the body of a god who jumped into the fire. And to India, it was never taken at all. It came to us, and asked only to be fed. And that gap is the whole episode, because notice which one is the odd one out. 4 of these peoples looked at the fire in their hands, at their own awakening, the knowledge and the awareness it gave them, everything that lifted them out of the cold and the dark, and felt some version of gratitude. A trick pulled off, a gift carried home, a sacrifice made for them, a guest who stayed. Only one looked at that same fire and felt guilt. Only one told itself that to wake up, to know, to see, was to commit a crime, that the light was stolen, that heaven wanted it back, that Prometheus is still chained to his rock, and Pandora's jar is still open, and somewhere the bill for all our knowing is still coming due. And that one is ours. The West built its whole idea of progress on a stolen flame and a forbidden fruit, on the suspicion that to know too much is to trespass and to be punished. It made us restless and brilliant and afraid of our own hands. But it was only ever one of the stories. Tell me whether your people thought the fire was stolen or given, and I will tell you whether they thought your awareness, your knowing, your waking up was a sin or a blessing you were always meant to carry. Every one of them, in the end, put the fire in the same place, not on a throne, not in a temple, in the home, in the hearth at the center of the room where the family gathers and the night is held back one more time. Whatever it cost to get it, stolen, tricked, carried, bought, or simply welcomed in, we all did the exact same thing with it. We took the most dangerous thing in the world, and we sat our children down beside it and called it home. Maybe that is the bravest thing we ever did.